So first things first, Maya, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's very good to hear. So before we jump into your latest EP, I would like to go back to the beginning. Now, I believe that you started playing guitar because your sister got one. Is that,
Yeah.
am I right in saying that? Why did she want a guitar? And at that point, what did you think of music?
I was playing piano at the time, and I don't know why she picked up the guitar. I should ask her, but yeah, she started having lessons, and I was having piano lessons, and I just thought it was so much cooler that she was playing guitar, and I was slightly I was slightly finding piano. I was very much finding piano to be quite a chore to play, because of the nature that I was taught in, very traditionally of learning the scales. Maybe we'll do an exam, like learn these set songs that I have absolutely no passion towards, kind of thing. So it just kind of felt like homework. And then my sister started having lessons and she was really enjoying it. And I thought it was really cool. And I hadn't seen any other girls in my school really play guitar. And I was quite a tomboy at the time and liked to play with kind of gender stereotypes, I guess, of what I saw. And I was skateboarding and while the other girls were doing ballet. And I was doing a mixture of it all. Which looking back is a really bad reason to start playing guitar. In the first place, it shouldn't be something I pick up because the boys are doing it. You know, it should just be, oh, that's an instrument, not have any kind of gender, you know, stuff around it. Stuff's an awful word. It's early, I can't think of the right word. So yeah, that's why I picked up guitar. And my teacher Paul was amazing and just let me pick the song each week that I wanted to learn, and no scales. I still don't know the scales to this day, hardly. So yeah, it was a very non-traditional way of learning, which ended up really helping me because I found out I'm really dyslexic. So I can't really read music anyway. So that's why I think I took to it much better than the piano.
Very quickly, is piano something you still do?
No, I'd like to say yes. I mean, I have one and I occasionally uh try things here and there, but it just does not go into my mind. If I have a piece of music that's not too hard, I can learn it, but it takes much longer and I have to really be concentrating to be able to do it.
Well, the reason I ask is, for instance, on Thank You, there's a nice organ playing. So that's not you playing?
No, we had Sam Henshaw, who co-wrote the song with us, play the piano part and wrote the piano part. And then the organ is an amazing organ player called Glenn Scott, who we were lucky enough to have on the track as well.
All right. Well, we'll get into the songs later, but you mentioned kind of getting into the guitar for the wrong reasons, I suppose. When did it switch to the right reasons for you? When did it become something that you thoroughly had a passion for?
I had passion from the beginning. I just think, and it's still that whole kind of wanting to prove something, playing it, seeing just boys playing it, continued to when I was in my final years of school. Because when I joined Brit School, where I went for intensive kind of music studying, I got in because I played acoustic guitar up until then, which is when I was 16. I went there from 16 to 18. And I walked in having got in for kind of like folk guitar and singing. And loads of the boys were kind of electric guitar players, and loads of the girls were acoustic or singers or the really like typical
Sure.
annoying, what you see. And then again, I had the urge to go and do the opposite to kind of prove something. So, 8 years later, I was still doing it, like switched to the electric for the same reasons that I started the guitar in the first place. But I mean, the whole way through, I've enjoyed it and I've loved
Okay.
it. And I find it like there's nothing else like it for me. And it's just like, I think because I was learning in a way of getting to choose which song I loved and to just play it, it never became a chore. My mom never had to ask me to practice. It was just, I'd sometimes just prefer it than going in to a friend's like birthday party. I just want to sit home and play guitar.
Well, it paid off, I suppose. Um, I can imagine, and I don't know how you experienced this then, but were you underestimated a lot then when you were in Brit school and kind of trying to get into the music industry?
Well, during Brit school, I didn't want to be an artist. I wanted to
Okay.
be a session guitarist. So I I was a very different musician to what I am now. So I wouldn't say I was underestimated. I didn't really show that I sang. I didn't really. I took those 2 years to build up being able to play electric guitar, um, somewhat to the level that I can now. I think I've developed quite a lot after that time as well. But yeah, I more kind of like hung low and played for other people and at home secretly like just practice loads and loads to try and play as good as some of the guys that were in my year.
When did you start to entertain the idea of being an artist then?
So I was being a session guitarist for a friend of mine, Millie Turner, and her producer asked me to sing backing vocals on one of her live performances. And then he heard me sing, and then I remember getting an email from him saying, I want to work with you and try and see if there's anything there. And that made me so excited because I just never thought about it before properly. And I'd never seen that as a possibility because I never really liked my voice as a kid. So I was just like, I'll just stick to the guitar. That's fine. And then as soon as he said that, I think it kind of kick-started something in me. And I just went all in after that. Yeah. So, and that was when I was 19, early 19, late
So
18.
before this moment, had you written a song or had you put words to paper?
Yeah, I'd written really crappy songs when I was young, like really funny. Well, they're funny now. They were meant to be serious when I was like 8 to 12. Me and my friend Vita would always write songs. Um, but I mean, not at Brit. I tried. I still find it difficult to this day writing on my own.
Okay.
So I write all my songs pretty much with my not co-producer, my producer, co-writer Stephen Barnes. So yeah, I mean, I had, but nothing worth sharing.
Well, that's an interesting segue then to the new IP, It's Not Me, It's You, because having then to share a very personal time in your life with somebody to be able to write songs about it, what was that like for you?
Well, Stephen, as well as my producer, is one of my best friends,
Okay.
and he kind of went along. He was there during my relationship. He was there during the breakup. So he very much kind of felt like he understood it enough for me to be comfortable writing about it. And I'm someone that I just kind of talk and I don't really hold back. So, if it was someone else, I've written another song kind of about this breakup with another two guys called James Smith and Martin Luke Brown. And it's just, I find that like a lot of, obviously not all of them, but a lot of songwriters and producers are just so good at like diving into a stranger's emotion. And I guess it's a weird thing because as someone that's not a musician, if they were to meet a stranger, it would probably be like a passing conversation that would last 3 minutes tops if it was just like, a little interaction. But songwriters and producers, they meet someone and then it's like, okay, let's lock ourselves in a room for like 7 hours and write about our deepest emotions. Like, nice to meet you. So I feel like they get really good at being able to talk to people, which is such a good strength. And yeah, I met Martin for the first time, and James I met like once before, and they were so just like, let's just talk about it. And they related, and I related to them, and I find it quite easy opening up to people in that way, especially songwriters, because they're just great and they just get it, and there's no judgment involved. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, it was very easy with Stephen because he was kind of there for the whole situation.
That's good to hear. Was it for you kind of apparent that this would be an EP about the breakup, or did these songs just sort of pour out?
I think as I went along, it was very apparent. It kind of happened at the perfect time of that I was needing to write another EP. And then it was like, boom. And I was like, great. I don't need to think of what to write about now. And we did write every song from the EP within the month of it happening.
Okay.
So it all did just completely flow out. And then it was just kind of there. And I was like, okay, I guess that's it. That's fine. That's good. Yeah.
What was the first song that came out?
Break My Heart Again was the first song, the sad one.
Because yeah, there's in the way you describe it, there is somewhat of a journey you go on in these songs. There's certain levels or certain stages within the. It's not the grieving process, but I don't know.
Well, it kind of almost feels like it is. You're grieving a relationship, and I think it's good to have all the stages because, I mean, as you could probably tell from the songs that go on, I end up being quite angry and not wanting this person to break my heart again and being very annoyed at them. So, but it's still, after having written Break My Heart Again and then not feeling that way, it's not really something that I want to be like. It's a tricky thing putting out a song like that when you don't necessarily relate to it anymore, and it's quite a big statement. But I found through my breakup, listening to music of like songs that I could relate to, it really helped. So if someone can relate to that song and feel better from it, even though I'm kind of like, then, I may as well release the entire journey of it and not just the bits that make me feel a bit better.
Can you share one artist or maybe a specific song that was a help to you somewhere in your life? Just
good question. I was listening to Me, Myself and I by Beyonce a lot afterwards. I found it very inspiring. So I'll probably say that.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because there are mentions in breakup season, for instance, guess I'll choose myself next time. And thank you, you say, figure out who I am without you. So there's a lot more focus on in need a word with Cupid, I'm gonna go and love me. So that there's a lot of those things. Well, I don't need you in a sense. It's important to focus on myself. So was that part of the sort of grieving process then, to figure out, hey, I'm worth it, or that's not the way to phrase it, but
no, yeah, definitely. I think I've always been someone fortunate enough to kind of do self-care and have self-love, and I'm really lucky with that. But I think definitely my relationship, I think, took some of that away from me, and the person I was with took some of that away from me. And I think it was kind of like a click realization that had happened and that I needed to gain that self-love back. So that's a really big thing that I found during the whole process of writing these songs and getting over him and, moving on with my life. So I found it a really important thing to write into it. Yeah.
What role did music play in this, in kind of getting back to yourself?
What, like listening to music or playing music?
Well, both. Did you jump into music? Are you someone that kind of needs to purge these feelings and emotions through music? How does that work for you?
Yes, definitely. I love to listen to music when I'm feeling the emotions that I'm feeling and sit with it. I don't tend to sit with sad songs too long because I quite like, I don't like to indulge too much. I quite like to kind of get on with it and kind of go on. But I think in moments like a breakup, you're allowed to indulge and, listen to Taylor Swift with a bottle of wine, and that's fine. And then playing music, I mean, my guitar's always been something that I do no matter what emotion. And like last night I was annoyed, so I just played my guitar, and then I was fine after I played my guitar. It's always something that I go back to and do. And it was a nice thing to focus on afterwards. Like, I think you can get really wrapped up in relationships and not put as much time into yourself as you should. And afterwards I was like, I'm going to go back and have more guitar lessons and really work on this and myself. And I felt like I suddenly had so much time that, you know, for a multitude of reasons. But yeah, I really worked on my guitar playing and played it when I was sad, played it when I was happy, played it when, you know, I wanted to feel uplifted, you know, whatever. And then I'd learn songs that I learned Me, Myself and I after I was listening to that. And, you know, it all kind of combines and it all helps. Music is great.
Right. And well, you're already a great guitar player. So what was something that you wanted to focus on kind of to improve or to add a new skill set to what you already do?
Thank you. I think, I mean, I feel like there's so much I have left to learn, and sometimes I feel quite limited by my lack of theory knowledge and my lack of scale knowledge. And I really like that I have that lack of knowledge, because I feel like there are no rules and it feels like more exciting, I think. But sometimes I get a bit stuck, and I get stuck in the same patterns and the same licks. And I wanted to break out of that and learn a few more tricks to kind of get out of the box that I put myself in. So that's what I've been mainly working on in the last year.
Okay. And then do you, because well, it's already kind of genre bending the way you play, because it's not just straight soul, it's not just jazz, it's just a mixture of a couple of things, I suppose. So are there other kind of styles that you want to venture into?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I wanna kind of expand on like blues quite a lot, gospel, bit of jazz. Yeah, I mean, I listen to all of those music. I listen to so many different genres and get inspired by different genres, and always want to keep learning. I don't want to put myself in a box of one style and one technique and stuff. So yeah.
Is there one guitar player that you're focusing on now? Or somebody that you're listening to a lot?
Yeah, Derek Trucks, slide guitarist.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, good choice, I would say. Going back to the album, because you mentioned kind of some of the songs are a bit angry, and you can really see that development. Do you remember the day that you wrote Need a Word with Cupid?
Yeah.
What kind of day was that? What kind of mood were you in?
I was really angry. Or I was a mixture. I was kind of like a weird angry, because it was kind of like angry at myself for having not realized things, and it was angry at my ex, and it was but then again, it was also like a really like uplifting day, because there's no better feeling than getting to write exactly how you feel, and just like in your head nailing how you're feeling in a song. So, and then I think that was the second song I wrote, and that I think it was the second, maybe it was the third, but it kind of set off the whole EP in my head of like, oh, okay, this is how it's gonna probably end up. This is kind of like the journey it's gonna go on now. So yeah, it was an interesting day. It was a funny day. I enjoyed it. It was like a motivational angry.
And what I really like about that song is that the music complements it well in the way that it doesn't sound angry. In a way, it's somewhat lighthearted almost, I would say, or that's how I heard it. So is that kind of how you see it now, though, especially maybe even that whole relationship, that you can kind of laugh about it?
Somewhat, yes. There's loads of emotions wrapped into it, but I am able to laugh at things. I'm able to laugh at it, and I think I prefer having fun and being playful with lyrics rather than going serious and going into deep metaphors. I think my more natural style is jokey and having fun with it. And I did discover that more doing the EP. It kind of shaped that kind of realization and sound. So yeah.
What I find interesting also about kind of you coming, because you released your EP Oh Boy last year, I believe, and then now this EP, and it's all been within the pandemic. Now, what has that been like? Kind of, have you been able to play shows at all during this time? How has that gone?
Well, I was actually, so in March 2020, I just started to get my band together. Well, I was about to get my band together to do shows because I just started doing a few supports, maybe like 2 or 3. Other than that, I hadn't really played much live of my own stuff. And then obviously pandemic happened. And since then I've just started doing shows again. So I just had my first proper headline show last week, 2 weeks ago. I've been doing some sofa sounds, which has been really fun. I'm just kind of taking gigs as they come. So they're all kicking off again now.
You mentioned earlier that initially you didn't see yourself as an artist. So what was it like going on stage for the first time, or 2 weeks ago, your first headline show, being kind of the center of attention?
Oh, it was insane. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be like that. We sold it out. We actually accidentally oversold it out because we had a ticket problem. We sorted it though, so there wasn't any like safety breaches. But I was not expecting it to sell out, or we kind of took the venue that we chose as a bit of a reach in the dark. We were kind of like, this could either go one way or the other, and I was very lucky that it was packed, and it just felt so surreal looking out and not really recognizing anyone. It was very overwhelming. I loved every second of it. I was so nervous before, and then I stepped out and I felt instantly relaxed because everyone was so lovely, and yeah, it was a great experience.
And for you then, because you've kind of come up in this time where not everything is possible for an artist, what role do you think social media has played? Because you're really doing well on social media, and there's a lot of interaction with people. So do you kind of have a sense of your fan base?
Yeah, I really took the pandemic as a time to build my social media and kind of get a lay of the land. I think the first March until kind of like September of the first kind of chunk of the pandemic, I was kind of like feeling out how to do social media well, and kind of making lots of content. Really, I didn't really have anything else to do. And then from my breakup, that point onwards, the past year, that's been when I've really, really been like incredibly proactive with it. And I think taking the time to chat to people as well, and actually look at DMs and answer DMs, and like get to know people, and meeting people after shows and all that kind of thing goes a really long way. And it's really, I love doing it. I love meeting the people behind the screen because it's just such a weird thing. I just want to see these people in real life, and like I wouldn't be here without them. So, I should put the time and effort into talking to them. And I think it goes a really long way. And I think that's why my social media has kind of built how it has in the past year. And I've been very lucky that the thing that kind of seems to pop off on my social media is just me sitting down playing guitar. Like at the very beginning of kind of feeling out TikTok, I didn't know whether that would do it. So I was kind of trying out different things and thinking, should I be doing trends? Should I not? And then I really realized that, well, if I did trends, that's really unauthentic to myself. And as soon as I start to show my personalities, I'll just lose those followers. They wouldn't be like, they haven't come for me, essentially. So yeah, I was very lucky that my first viral video was me just sitting down playing guitar, and I get to do that and it works. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Now, finally, this is your second EP, and maybe it's too early days to talk about this, but are you working towards an album?
Potentially.
Well, one thing I was thinking was we do live in a time, and especially with social media and those kinds of technology to our disposal, that albums aren't as important as they were once. People can release essentially when they want to. How do you feel about this? Are you still an album person? Would you still love that cohesive thing?
Yes, I'm absolutely an album person. I'm very much a concept person, and I think it's a shame how short just people in general's concentration is nowadays, and that's obviously I think due to TikTok. So and things like that. So people tend to listen less to albums in one go and fully and how it was intended. And I think it's great that Adele just got the shuffle button taken off albums, because us as artists put so much time and thought into the flow of a project, whether it's an EP or an album, and you know how it all goes together and the story of it. And I want people to listen to my EP in order. And you know, I think it's a shame sometimes that it doesn't get like heard how it was intended. And I love concepts, and I love, you know, building on that. So I love albums, and I'm excited to make an album and do an album, and yeah.
So somewhere on the horizon, that's still a possibility.
Yes.
Excellent. Final question then. What's the best album that you've listened to last year or in the previous year?
Oh, the best album last year. Let me look at my Spotify quickly. Okay. What have I been listening to? Oh, I'm gonna say the Silk Sonic album that just came out. So good.
I'll have to listen to it. I don't know it, so I'll have to listen to it then.
So good.
All right. Maya, may I thank you for your time?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.